Shalom, friends, and welcome to Walking the Ancient Path, where we journey back into the language, landscape, and life rhythms of the Scriptures in a lighter, more accessible way, exploring the world of the Bible as its original listeners would have experienced it.
Today, we'll pick up our in-depth exploration of the entire book of Galatians, verse by verse, and unpack each passage within the context of organic ancient Hebrew thought, formatted like a living Hebrew commentary.
Let's pick up where we left off, Galatians chapter 2.
Verse 7. But contrariwise, when they saw that the gospel of the uncircumcision was committed unto me, as the gospel of the circumcision was unto Peter.
On the contrary, when they saw that the besorah for the uncircumcised nations had been entrusted to me, just as the besorah for the circumcised had been entrusted to Cephas.
Contrariwise, on the contrary, instead of correcting or opposing Paul, the apostles recognized Yahweh's hand on him. In Hebrew imagery, it is like elders at the gate nodding in agreement after hearing testimony. The gospel of the uncircumcision, literally the message of the foreskin. Paul's calling was to the Gentiles, those outside the Abrahamic sign of circumcision. In imagery, he was sent to the wild fields beyond Israel's fences to gather fruit from unpruned trees. Committed unto me, the term means entrusted, handed over. In Hebrew thought, it resembles a clan father giving the family staff to a son and sending him on a mission. Paul received a trust, not from men but recognized by them. As the gospel of the circumcision was unto Peter, Cephas, Peter, was entrusted to proclaim it to those who were circumcised, Jews rooted in the Torah and the covenant. The missions were distinct but not opposed, like two streams flowing from the same spring toward different valleys.
Verse 8. For he that wrought effectually in Peter, to the apostleship of the circumcision, the same was mighty in me toward the Gentiles.
For the one who worked with power through Cephas in his sending to the circumcised, this same one was working with strength through me in my sending to the nations.
He that wrought effectually, the one who worked with power. The verb suggests energy, activity, and efficiency. In Hebrew imagery, Yahweh's ruach is compared to fire in the forge or sap flowing through a tree, bringing living strength to the work. In Peter, to the apostleship of the circumcision, Cephas's mission was to Israel, to those already marked by the covenant sign. In Hebrew thought, he was tending the cultivated olive tree, pruning and guarding it. The same was mighty in me toward the Gentiles. Paul's mission was outward, to graft in branches from wild trees. The imagery is agricultural, the same gardener's hand guiding both, one pruning, one grafting, but both part of the same living tree. Underscoring unity, Paul emphasizes that although their fields of work differ, the source of strength is the same Elohim. This prevents rivalry and unites both streams of mission under the same source of life.
Verse 9. And when James, Cephas, and John, who seemed to be pillars, perceived the grace that was given unto me, they gave to me and Barnabas the right hands of fellowship, that we should go unto the heathen, and they unto the circumcision.
And when Yaakov, Cephas, and Yochanan, who were regarded as pillars, recognized the favor poured upon me, they extended to me and to Barnabas the right hand of fellowship, agreeing that we would walk the trail to the nations, while they would walk the trail to the circumcised.
James, Peter, and John, these three were recognized leaders of the Jerusalem community. Using Hebrew names, Yaakov, Cephas, Yochanan ties them to covenant history, who seem to be pillars. The image of pillars is structural. They bore weight in the household of faith like standing stones supporting the tent of Yahweh's dwelling. Perceived the grace given unto me. They saw evidence of chen, divine favor, as the living fruit of Paul's mission. In Hebrew thought, favor is visible, like green shoots after rain. They gave the right hand of fellowship, a gesture symbolizing a covenant bond. In Hebrew imagery, clasping the right hand signifies sealing loyalty, much like two men agreeing at the village gate. It was not just a casual greeting but a binding affirmation that we should go to the heathen and they to the circumcision. The missions are recognized as separate paths, yet part of the same journey. Paul and Barnabas follow the trail to the nations, while the Jerusalem leaders continue working with Israel, but all under the same covenant tent.
Verse 10. Only they would that we should remember the poor, the same which I also was forward to do.
The only thing they asked was that we not forget the poor, and this very thing I was eager to carry out.
Remember the poor. In Hebrew imagery, to remember, zakar, is more than just thinking. It involves action, providing tangible help. The poor here mainly refer to struggling believers in Jerusalem, but also, by extension, anyone in need. Remembering the poor is to keep their faces in mind and act on their behalf. The same which I also was forward to do. Paul affirms that this was already his heart. The imagery is of someone leaning forward eagerly to help, like a shepherd running toward a sheep in distress. His mission to the nations was never separate from concern for the suffering at home. The unifying thread, even as they divided the mission fields, Jews and nations, they maintained unity by emphasizing mercy. Covenant faithfulness is always demonstrated by how the vulnerable are treated.
Verse 11. But when Peter was come to Antioch, I withstood him to the face, because he was to be blamed.
But when Cephas came to Antioch, I stood against him face to face, because he had stepped off the straight path and was clearly in the wrong.
When Peter came to Antioch, Antioch was a major center for early believers, a diverse group of Jews and Gentiles. What took place there was significant for the entire movement. I withstood him to the face. In Hebrew imagery, this isn't quiet whispering or secret talk, but open confrontation, eye to eye, in front of the group. It recalls a shepherd challenging another at the tent gate, entirely in view of the flock, because he was to be blamed. The Greek word kataginosko suggests being found condemned or standing guilty. The Hebrew word that best parallels kataginosko is rasha, meaning to declare wicked, to condemn as guilty. Cephas's actions had strayed from the emet, truth, of the besorah, and Paul had to point it out, not to shame, but to protect the right path for the community.
Verse 12. For before that certain came from James, he did eat with the Gentiles. But when they were come, he withdrew and separated himself, fearing them which were of the circumcision.
For before certain men came from Yaakov, Cephas was eating freely with the nations. But when they arrived, he drew back and pulled away, fearing those of the circumcised party.
Before certain came from James. These men claimed to be connected with Yaakov, James, the leader in Jerusalem. Whether they were sent officially or not, they carried influence as if they represented him. Their presence created pressure. He did eat with the Gentiles. Table fellowship is a covenant symbol. Sharing bread symbolizes unity, loyalty, and equality. Cephas had been practicing this, sitting at the same table with Gentile believers, but when they were come, he withdrew and separated himself. The imagery suggested stepping back from the shared table, folding up one's cloak and moving to a different group. This action was more than just a meal choice. It conveyed a message of division within the covenant family. Fearing them which were of the circumcision, Cephas's withdrawal was motivated by fear of criticism or rejection from the Torah-observant group. In Hebrew imagery, he allowed the voice of men to outweigh the voice of the shepherd, and the unity of the flock was harmed.
We'll pause here and continue in our next chat.
If you listeners have areas of interest you'd like to explore further, questions, or comments, please don't hesitate to let us know.